This boy was born right here. Every corner is filled with hidden cameras. Every step, every move of his life is recorded. For 30 years, 1 billion people around the world have been watching his story unfold. But nothing around him is real. The sky is fake, the moon is fake, and even the people are fake. His parents and his wife are actors. The people walking on the street are extras. Even his beloved dog was hired. Only he has no idea. For everyone else, it's just a role. For Truman, it's his reality. That's why the show has become the most popular program on Earth. Every day, millions tune in, watching his life as entertainment. But one morning, cracks begin to show. Truman greets his neighbors like always, only to see a spotlight suddenly fall from the sky. Soon after, the news claims a passing airplane lost a few parts, an excuse to cover up the accident. He shrugs it off, but deep inside, something feels wrong. At work, Truman secretly tears out a photo from a magazine, an image that will matter later. His boss then assigns him a trip across the sea, but Truman is terrified. As a child, he once lost his father in a storm at sea, a memory that haunts him to this day. In truth, the director planted this assignment and even staged a shipwreck nearby, just to trigger his fear and stop him from ever trying to escape. At home, his wife suddenly pitches a kitchen gadget in the middle of their conversation. Truman stares in confusion. Without knowing, he's part of a live commercial. The more he notices these strange behaviors, the more his suspicion grows. Then the world begins to glitch. A sudden rainstorm falls only on him, following him wherever he goes. His wife panics when he talks about leaving town. Even more suspicious, she suddenly suggests they should have a baby, something she never wanted before. And then, one morning, on his way to work, Truman sees his father. The same father who was supposed to have died years ago. But just as Truman reunited with his father, two strangers appeared and dragged the old man away. Truman tried to chase after them, but a crowd suddenly blocked his path. Shocked and confused, he couldn't understand why his supposedly dead father had suddenly appeared. When he told his mother, she dismissed it. "You must have mistaken a stranger for your father," she said. "I've done the same before. He looked like him, but it wasn't him. Your father has gone to the sea forever." Heartbroken, Truman realized even his own mother wouldn't believe him. Then came another strange event. While driving, his radio began to glitch. Suddenly, he caught a broadcast he had never heard before. "He's on Stewart Street. Extras. Get ready. He'll be there in 90 seconds. He's turning into Lancaster Square. Damn it. He almost hit someone. Something's wrong. Switch the channel." It was a behind-the-scenes cue, accidentally intercepted. Truman finally began to grasp the truth. His world was being staged. Determined to test it, he broke his daily routine. Instead of buying a magazine like always, he skipped the shop, leaving the vendor confused. At the office, he wandered around before sneaking out. He wanted to see how people would react if he went off script. The results were shocking. Everyone seemed to be following a script. Even the twin brothers who always refused to buy insurance suddenly demanded a $10 million policy. Truman pushed further. He rushed into a random building, startling the receptionist. Staff scrambled, alarms went off, and when he tried taking the elevator, the doors opened, revealing stagehands and equipment behind the scenes. Startled crew members slammed the wall shut before Truman could process what he saw. Security quickly escorted him out. Furious and confused, Truman stormed off, then ran to his best friend Marlon's store. He spilled everything: the radio messages, the elevator, the staged encounters. "They're watching me, Marlon, don't you see? Even my father was alive." At first, Marlon brushed it off. But hearing Truman's father had appeared left him shaken. He knew sometimes fired actors tried to sneak back into the show, using Truman's fame for their own gain. But if Truman's father had returned to reveal the truth, that was far more dangerous. That night, Truman couldn't stop thinking. His mind drifted back to his college days, when he secretly fell in love with a girl named Lauren. She was just an extra, but unlike the others, she seemed to care for him. Just as their bond grew, the director forced Truman's future wife into his life, cutting Lauren out. They could script his career, his family, even his destiny, but they could never control his heart. By chance, Truman and Lauren met again at a party. Her sudden appearance threw the producers into chaos. To prevent things from spiraling, crew members quickly forced her away. Truman thought their story was over until they ran into each other again at the library. Fate, it seemed, always found a way. But Lauren looked nervous. Her eyes darted around, searching for hidden cameras. Hearing her words, Truman thought Lauren was just living with her family. Still, something about her seemed different, dangerous even. But he couldn't resist his feelings. He asked her out, and to his surprise, she agreed. On one strange condition: they had to leave immediately. Confused but drawn to her, Truman followed. The crew was instantly alerted. Lauren, or rather, Sylvia, took him to the beach. There, under the stars, they confessed their feelings and shared their first kiss. But their moment was shattered. A man claiming to be her father arrived with others. "Come on, Lauren, stop this nonsense. She's lying," Sylvia shouted. "Don't believe him. Everything around you is fake. Everyone is acting. You're being watched." Before he could react, Sylvia was dragged away, kicking and screaming. Her last desperate words burned into his memory. "Find a way out. Come to Fiji. I'll be waiting." From then on, Fiji became Truman's dream, his lifelong goal. He started collecting magazine clippings, piecing together Sylvia's face from scraps, desperate to hold on to her image. Somewhere out there, she still thought of him, watching from a television screen, unable to let go. Meanwhile, his wife continued her strange behavior, slipping product ads into everyday life. "We should throw away this lawnmower and get the new one from," she'd smile at the cameras. To Truman, it all felt staged, empty, fake. Then came the proof. Looking at their wedding photos, he noticed her fingers crossed, a gesture of dishonesty, a silent plea for forgiveness. It meant their marriage was never real. Combined with her constant odd behavior, Truman's suspicions turned into certainty. One day, she claimed she needed surgery. Truman secretly followed her to the hospital. But the moment he entered, the staff panicked. A nurse stepped forward. "Your wife is in surgery. You can't see her now." "Fine," Truman said coldly. "Tell her I'm going to Fiji. I'll call her from there." Pretending to leave, he shadowed a man rushing down the hall. Suddenly, an orderly blocked his way with a cart. Furious, Truman shoved it aside, only to glimpse the operating room. His wife lay there, terrified, as the surgeon awkwardly explained the procedure. It was all a performance. None of them was a real doctor. Before Truman could expose them, guards threw him out. Shaken but determined, Truman went straight to the airport. He tried to book a flight to Fiji. "Sorry, sir, tickets are sold out for the next month." Defeated, he tried the bus. But halfway down the road, the bus conveniently broke down. Passengers calmly filed out, too calmly. Another staged trap. At home, Truman confronted his wife. He made her sit in the car. "I'm going to tell you a secret," he said. "In a few seconds, a woman on a bike and a man with flowers will pass by. Then a dented Volkswagen will follow." Right on cue. It all happened exactly as he said. "You see," Truman laughed bitterly. "They're just looping around, over and over. It's all staged." His wife tried to deflect. "You're just saying this so I'll let you go to Fiji, right?" "Fine," she sighed. "You can go." But Truman wasn't finished. As she reached for the door, he locked it with a sly grin. "No waiting, we're going right now." He started the car, first circling the driveway, then suddenly speeding off. But suddenly, a long line of cars blocks his path. The road clogs into a traffic jam. Yet nothing can stop him. If one way is blocked, he'll take another. Strangely enough, the next road is completely clear, not a single car in sight. Soon, they reach a great bridge. His wife smiles with confidence. She knows Truman's fear of water will paralyze him here. But unexpectedly, Truman seizes her hand, presses it onto the steering wheel, and closes his eyes. Slamming down on the gas, he forces her to steer. For her own safety, she holds steady. Just as Truman hoped, they crossed the bridge safely. But danger comes again. Ahead, the forest suddenly bursts into flames. Truman doesn't hesitate. He drives straight through. Then, air raid sirens wail. A nuclear leak has supposedly sealed off the road ahead. Soldiers warn him, "All routes are closed. Do you need help?" Truman declines. But when one of them calls his name, he freezes. How could a stranger possibly know who he is? Panic turns to determination. Truman bolts from the car, racing toward the barricade, only to be tackled by guards. While struggling, he notices something, a hidden camera. His suspicion deepens. Soon he's dragged back home. There, he confronts his wife. Why did she suddenly want children when she had always refused before? She dodges the question, instead grabbing a box and pitching it like a commercial. Pure cocoa from Nicaragua, no artificial flavoring. Truman stares. "Who are you talking to?" Her bizarre professionalism makes him snap. He demands to know if she's part of the conspiracy. Afraid, she grabs a knife. "You're scaring me." "No, you're the one scaring me. What are you going to do? You've got plenty of options." Then, she slips. "You people better think of something." "You people," Truman shouts. "Who are you talking to?" At that moment, Marlon enters, rescuing her from Truman's fury. That night, Truman confides in Marlon. He feels as if the entire world is built around him. The newspaperman, the bus driver, everyone locked in their roles. It's like one giant play, with Truman as the only real character. Marlon listens calmly. "We've known each other since we were 7. That's 23 years. No matter what happens, I'd never lie to you." Behind the scenes, the director whispers instructions. Marlon repeats, "I'd never lie to you." Perhaps after so many years, Marlon has grown a genuine affection for Truman. But he is still an actor. In front of millions of viewers, he must play his part. The director ups the stakes. He brings Truman's father back. Cameras roll from every angle. Music swells. "Son, I never stop loving you." Tears stream down Truman's face. The audience watching around the world cries with him. Ratings soar. When the scene ends, the actor playing the father receives applause from the crew. Everyone celebrates the touching reunion. Everyone except Lauren. Watching from afar, she cannot smile. To her, this isn't entertainment. This is Truman's real life, stolen. She calls the director. "You have no right to hijack someone's destiny. To turn a man into a television show. This is a crime." But the director only answers coldly. "I created a safe paradise for Truman. There, he didn't have to endure the cruelty of the real world. There, everyone had their own script, with no need to fight and compete like in reality. They brought him a world full of hope and happiness. But no one ever asked him whether this fabricated world was what Truman truly wanted. Because from the very moment he was born, the show had already begun. Simon, what's happening? Is he watching us? Did he realize? Hello. Notify Christoph Major immediately. BB, respond now. He's acting normal again." After that, Truman left the house and greeted his neighbors like every other day. He even wished everyone a pleasant afternoon and evening. Everything seemed back to normal. But they didn't know that Truman was secretly plotting a great escape. Ever since the argument with his wife, the director had arranged for her to leave the show. Afterwards, he even introduced another woman to Truman, hoping he would start a new married life. But on that day, the IP discovered that Truman had been sleeping in the basement for several days. At first, they thought he was just depressed because his wife had left. But the director quickly noticed something unusual and zoomed in on the feed. He's still breathing. But the sound of the breath was clearly fake. Rewinding the footage before Truman fell asleep, they suddenly saw a hand slip out from under the table. Zooming in, it was Truman's. They immediately called Marlon over. But when he entered and pulled back the blanket, there was only a doll sleeping soundly. Truman was gone. Though I was shocked, this was live television. Marlon couldn't afford to reveal the truth. He had no choice but to pretend they were playing hide and seek and began looking for him. But no matter where he searched, Truman was nowhere to be found. Finally, when Marlon opened the storage shed, a huge hole was revealed. The director was stunned and immediately ordered Marlon to climb up and check. "Don't look at the camera. Just act normal. He's not here anymore. Cut the broadcast. Cut it immediately." The IP staff quickly cut the live feed. If the audience found out Truman had disappeared, the consequences would be disastrous. They immediately gathered all the actors, even using the moon as a searchlight. But since it was nighttime, visibility was poor. The director had no choice but to switch the time instantly to daytime. The floodlights came on, and daylight appeared. But even after combing every corner of the town, there was still no sign of Truman. Then the director thought of the ocean. Sure enough, when the camera panned to the sea, Truman was spotted sailing a small boat across the vast waters. "We found him," and resumed the broadcast. The audience instantly realized Truman was trying to escape, and they all cheered him on. Truman took out Lauren's picture and gazed at it. It was his only source of strength. Seeing this on TV, Lauren herself broke down in tears. The director knew this couldn't go on. He immediately ordered a chase by boat. But the actor playing the bus driver was the one on standby. He didn't know how to sail. Watching Truman draw closer and closer to the edge of the dome, the director commanded the weather system to unleash a massive storm, forcing Truman to give up. In an instant, the sea raged with giant waves, crashing violently into Truman's small boat. He was thrown back and forth, but he refused to quit. More lightning. Stronger. Still, Truman clung to the boat, climbing back again and again. The TV audience erupted in applause, cheering him on. Hold on, Truman, is that all you've got? Do more. You'll have to kill me to stop me. Realizing the storm wasn't enough, the director demanded the storm be pushed to maximum strength. The IP staff tried to stop him. Don't, he'll die. But for the sake of ratings, the director persisted. Moments later, a towering wave crashed down, nearly capsizing the boat. Under the relentless assault, Truman and the vessel were finally tossed into the sea. But by sheer luck, he had tied himself to the mast, so he didn't drown. Finally, the director was forced to call off the storm, afraid Truman might actually die. As the clouds broke apart, sunlight flooded the sky. The boat steadied once more. The audience watching at home was overcome with emotion. Truman, exhausted but determined, hoisted the sail again and pressed onward. After an unknown stretch of time, the small boat suddenly collided with a wall. Only then did he realize what Lauren had told him was true. The blue sky and white clouds were nothing but a massive painted backdrop. All his life, he had lived inside a fabricated world. Speak up, I can hear you. Who are you? I am the creator of a television show. I brought hope and joy to millions. And who am I? You are the star. Everything is fake, except you. That's why this show has captivated people. Listen to me, Truman. The outside world is no more real than the one I created. It's full of lies and cruelty. But here, you don't have to be afraid. Stay with me. Before leaving, Truman smiled and said, in case I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.